The swastika, now spreading amongst the German armies, is fast becoming the emblem of militant German nationalism. But since 1908, it had acquired another, even more ominous meaning. Shortly before the outbreak of the Great War, Liszt had incorporated the occult teachings of Madame Helena Blavatsky into his own German mythology. Now he no longer refers to ancient Germans or Teutons. Instead, the tribes who populate his visions he names Aryans. In Madame Blavatsky's writings, the Aryans are the race of upward spiritual evolution, the race whose sign is the swastika. In Hitler's Mein Kampf, the meaning of the swastika to the Nazi party is made clear. In the swastika, he writes, we see the mission for the struggle for the victory of Aryan man.
Man kann nicht dem untreu werden, was einem ganzen Leben Inhalt, Sinn und Zweck gegeben hat. Es wird nicht so etwas aus nichts, wenn diesem Werden nicht ein großer Befehl zugrunde liegt. Und den Befehl gab uns kein irdischer Vorgesetzter, den gab uns der Gott, der unser Volk geschaffen hat.
By the 1930s and the great Nazi rallies at Nuremberg, the concept of the Aryan has become a cornerstone of the party's mystical ideology. The grand design for the Aryan state has already existed for over 20 years. Its author was Guido von List. In the slaughter and misery of the Great War, the writings of Guido von List assume greater and greater significance for the soldiers of the German and Austrian armies. To List, the Great War is the conflict which will purge the world of evil and herald a new age. Democracy and materialism will be destroyed on the battlefields of Europe. Victory will usher in an Aryo-German empire. By 1911, Liszt had already described in detail his vision of the future Germanic state. It will be a strict hierarchy in which leaders will be obeyed without question. It will be patriarchal, with full rights only for the male heads of families. Only Aryans will be entitled to citizenship. There will be strict laws to ensure the purity of the race. Every family will keep a record of its ancestry as proof of its Aryan blood. By 1918, the conflict which Liszt called the holiest war had cost the lives of 2 million Germans. That same year, the German armies had won a series of military victories. The Russian enemy had collapsed, and yet Germany had sued for peace. To men who had suffered so much, it seems like a colossal betrayal. Then comes the greatest shock of all. The Kaiser is forced into exile. The terms imposed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles are harsh and punitive. Key industrial regions must be handed over to the victors. The German army is to be reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Heavy reparations must be paid when war has already left the German economy on the verge of collapse. The Versailles Treaty will fatally undermine the authority of the new Weimar Republic. The ministers who signed its terms will become known as the November Criminals. As food supplies dwindle and a once proud nation is reduced to dependence and misery, Germany threatens to descend into anarchy. The infant Weimar Republic quickly becomes a battleground of warring factions. In the major cities, revolutionary socialist republics are declared by councils of workers and soldiers. Nationalists and monarchist groups muster private armies and mobilize for counter-revolution. Behind the factions on both sides is the hidden hand of conspiracy. Among the many shadowy groups organizing nationalist counter-revolution is the wealthy and powerful Thule Society. Thule is the Munich lodge of the nationalists and anti-Semitic German Order. The German Order is dedicated to the occult teachings of Guido von List. On November the 9th, 1918, Rudolf von Sebottendorf, master of Thule, addresses a hastily convened meeting of the lodge. Socialist republics have been declared in both Munich and Berlin. Yesterday, we experienced the collapse of everything which is familiar, dear, and valuable to us. I am determined to pledge Thule to this struggle. Our God is Valvata. His rune is the Arun. The Arun signifies Aryan, primal fire, the sun, and the eagle. Thule will fight until the swastika rises victoriously out of the icy darkness. In the following months, along with other nationalist groups, Thule stockpiles weapons and trains volunteers. On April the 30th, 1919, 20,000 men, including strong detachments armed and led by Thule, storm Munich in a bloody counter-revolution. On the helmets of many nationalist volunteers is the emblem of the swastika. The success of Thule in the 1919 Munich counter-revolution would have far-reaching consequences for the Germany of the 1920s. A shadowy organization devoted to arcane rituals and the creation of an Aryan empire would attract support from the highest levels of German society. The secret German order, parent order of Thule, was founded in 1912. It was and would remain virulently anti-Semitic and anti-democratic. The membership of the Thule and of all the lodges of the German order is drawn from the ranks of aristocrats, industrialists, lawyers, judges, and medical men. All are required to prove that they and their spouses are of pure Aryan blood. Applicants must submit details of hair, eye, and skin color. Hair must be blonde to dark blonde. Eyes must be blue or light brown. The skin must be fair. For membership of the Berlin Lodge, even the shape of the skull is taken into account. By the autumn of 1918, Rudolf von Sebottendorf, master of the Thule Lodge, had attempted to extend the influence of Thule's ideas by secretly sponsoring the formation of a workers' discussion group. Unknown to most members of the group, its chairman, Karl Harrer, would belong to Thule. The most active member of the workers' group is a locksmith, Anton Drexler. By the end of 1918, Drexler had proposed that the workers' circle be formed into a new political party. The Thule chairman agreed. On January the 5th, 1919, the new party is formally founded in a Munich tavern, the Fürstenfelderhof. It is to be called the German Workers' Party. On September the 12th, 1919, 10 months after the foundation,